fakemink released his long-awaited album Terrified recently, and just so happens that my favorite track from this album is a single that he released before, so Night Blooming Jasmine, and I made a beat in similar style and I realized I only used Skeleton Store sounds to make it, so let's break it down today. This is how to make beats like Night Blooming Jasmine. And before we start the breakdown, I just want to say this is not a remake, this isn't a one-to-one inspired beat, it's just something that I made and is kinda inspired by Night Blooming Jasmine. So yeah, the thing we have to start with is the bass. And for the bass I used two of our sound kits. The first one is Angel Core Expansion, and I took this bass from Angel Core Expansion. I slightly remixed it. I changed the release parameter and I also changed this oscillator because it used to be a fifth up. And this is layer 1, the second layer. Just like in Night Blooming Jasmine, there are two layers of the bass and one of them is similar to this. So this is basically a preset based on the Korg M1 organ bass, and the two basses layered together sound like this. And this is basically the core of the beat, the most prominent melodic element other than the sequence that we will get to later. But first let's break down the drums. And drums are pretty simple, they sound like this. It's like a 4-on-the-floor pattern with some additional open hats and hi-hats. And all of the drum samples I used come from our pink drum kit, except for this chant in the background that's not in pink. But you can find it in every other drum kit, so I didn't bother to add it there. We have the core of the beat, so bass and drums. Now let's go to the interesting part. So this lead sequence, that's also very much inspired by Night Blooming Jasmine, because there's a similar lead in that song, and it goes like this. So how I did it, it's basically a lead from our pack Color that has 150 Serum presets for this and other underground styles, and I basically turned down the release knob so it's very short, very punchy, and I made this very fast sequence melody that sounds just like what you heard. And that's also probably how that melody was made in the original. No, it's not an ARP, it's not a sequence preset, it's probably just a lead like this. In the beat we only have one different melody that sounds like this. And in the original song, this second lead melody was simpler. I think it's only using 2 notes, but I actually went one step above the original and this is what I made. But same as in the original, I used a square wave lead, and it's also a preset from our pack Color. It sounds like this. And we also have one different counter melody, and this is an ARP from our upcoming pack that I'm still working on right now. We've got all the melodies broken down and we heard the drums, but I wanna come back to the drums because I actually didn't break them down properly. The kick and snare pattern is pretty simple. Snare is this basic trappy snare that I just time stretched and also added some distortion with Fruity Fuzz Dist. Kick, just make sure the kick is clipping if you wanna make a similar beat, that's all you need. And for the hi-hats, pattern is pretty simple. I just try to fill out all the empty spaces between kicks and snares. With the hi-hat and with the open hat, I tried to add an accent to certain kicks to make it more groovy. And the chant is optional. I don't think it was in the original. The original also had simpler drums, just with kick and snare, I think. And then at the end of the drum sequence, at the end of the 8 bars, we have this snare roll at the end, and we also have some additional kicks. This is how it sounds. And that's just it. I also added this vocal loop in the background for just to fill out the space, because the beat was quite empty without it. And I really think that those are all the elements of the beat. Let's check out how the mixer looks. So as always, I didn't do much. Our sounds are pre-mixed and pre-processed, so you don't have to do much during mixing. It's basically just adding distortion and ruining all the sounds. I added Decapitator to the bass because I use 2 different basses, and you can use distortion to glue them together. Makes it feel like one preset actually. To the counter melody I added Portal with a preset from our recent release, the Witch House bundle. And to the lead I just added a basic delay with a ping pong preset. The only channel where I did more mixing is the vocal, and that's because I had to put it kinda in the background to still leave space for an artist that's gonna record on this. So I just cut out all the highs and lows. I added some distortion to make it feel more lo-fi, and I added Portal with a preset from pack from our store called Upicom. And yeah, I just routed everything to reverb, sidechained the melody to the kick, and that's pretty much it. The beat is relatively simple, so I didn't have to do much. And we're gonna listen to it in a minute, but I figured that if I used so many different kits in this beat, I'm gonna give you guys a discount code so you can get as many of them as you want. So if you're watching this video and you like the sounds I used for this beat and you want to get some of our kits, use code Terrified for 25% off. First link in the description and use code Terrified. And now we're gonna play the full beat and I'll just see you in the next video next week.